Today was the first day of the workshop that we're doing for this program for my two youngest kids. And there were parts of it that were really overwhelming and parts of it that were really hope promoting. So today we mostly just learned about the laws and principles of the human brain and how it develops and what things need to be in place in order for that to happen. And most of the time they are, right? Except when you come across brain injured children. Well, brain injured humans, right? And whether that happens from birth, in utero, something that happened there, or an accident, or missing a stage of development or something like that. There's all sorts of things that can cause a brain injury, and not like, because this program uses brain injury pretty liberally, and it's not just like a physical injury to the head, but whether something with development or wiring went wrong is also considered an injury when you are experiencing symptoms that don't allow you to function normally at the appropriate developmental ages. Then we have something that we're working with. And it's interesting because there's a lot of people that grow up in dysfunctional homes and families that develop just fine as far as like being functional in society. And then you have like situations like us where we have a good family situation, and yet we have 2 out of our 3 children that are experiencing developmental delays, and not for reasons that we don't know exactly. Neither of them have a diagnosis. Neither of them had significant issues at birth or during in utero or anything like that. Anatomically, everything is there. Anyway, but just learning about how the human brain works, like there's the different laws about it. And this is something I can cover later. But as we were going through this workshop, and they put up a whole chart of like the different levels of development and what part of the brain is associated with that and what kind of age goes along with that developmental stage. And it took a really holistic look at the brain. I started to feel a lot of hope. Started to feel like, wow, like this makes the idea of being a nonverbal kid and then learning how to speak totally possible, or having muscle tone issues and being able to heal from that totally possible, which are what my kids struggle with. And even like the inability to hear and understand, which is an issue for my youngest. That's totally possible to overcome if you follow these laws of how the human brain develops. So that part was encouraging. There were other parts that were hard, like because it triggered a lot of feelings of some of the stories I have in the back of my mind of not being a good mom. Like as my kids have developed and grown and the struggles have become more and more apparent, it's really hard to not link that to, where did I fail as a mom? What did I not do? How am I not showing up so that they can continue to develop well, especially because we can't necessarily find anything that's wrong. Like all of the testing that we've done, there's been no diagnosis at all. All right, kids needed me for a minute. So yeah, some of the hard things was having stuff about motherhood come up and the experiences that I've had in the past with that, with not having my kids progress, and just like the hard parts about motherhood that people don't often talk about before you have kids, at least not the people that I knew or grew up with. They didn't talk about how hard it is and how some days you wouldn't want to do it, and how some days you really wouldn't like your kids, and that they would push all of your buttons, and that you will feel exhausted and drained all the time. And then, I mean, because no one really predicts that you will have a child that has special needs, and no one's really prepared you for that. To be like, yeah, all of those things that were hard about having normal kids, yeah, we're going to 10x that. And then we're going to put on other unique things, right? Like harder to get a babysitter, harder to go out on dates with your husband or your spouse, harder to keep the house clean, and then certain behavioral issues that you have to deal with all the time that really limit how much time you have to do other things, right? And it can be a huge suck on your income. A bunch of other things, and then just that you will feel constant stress and worry. But then again, there's a limited number of people that can actually tell you that. Anyway, the point is that a lot of things were surfacing as I was listening to this workshop and listening to how important a mother is and how important everything we expose our kids to and influence them for is very influential, which felt a little overwhelming. So it's like, I'm gonna make mistakes. And it's hard to kind of level with the idea that whatever I do, I'm one of the most influential teachers to my kid. And a point that our teacher made was that you may be the most influential, but you may not be the best. And oftentimes some people just be like, parents are the best teachers for their kids. And he's like, that's not the case, but they are definitely the most influential. So the job of a parent is to become aware of what their child needs as far as their development goes. And then if the parent is or is not giving that to them, or isn't capable of giving it to them, or trying to get it for them if they themselves aren't capable to offer it. So I felt overwhelmed at that aspect, because I'm like, how can I be everything that they need me to be when I feel like I can't be everything I need me to be, let alone my spouse, and let alone like kids that don't have disabilities, but kids that do, like, I feel like I'm in over my head, And so something he said that was really helpful was, don't think about all of the times that you're dropping the ball, but try to focus a little bit more on all the areas in which you're carrying the ball into the end zone. And that was encouraging, that it was like, yeah, like, even though I'm dropping the ball, I'm carrying it into the end zone in a lot of other ways. And the more I focus on that, and that goal, getting the ball to the end zone, I will likely have more encouragement and hope and focus on picking up the ball and carrying it to the end zone, instead of dropping it and then telling a whole drama about why it's so awful that I dropped it and why I'm not a good mom. And I can tell this is already going to take time, because that is how the human brain works, actually. Is one of the things is like it takes repetition and frequency and intensity to change the brain. And thinking can do that thing. And it actually does it when we have our higher brain functioning. It can change that. It can change the function. It can change all of that. So I know that's what's in it for me, is switching up how I feel about me as a mother, how I feel about my capability to help my kids, how I feel about my kids needing me so much, and figuring out how to balance that in a way that I don't resent them, but I want to be there for them. So that's some of the work I have to do. And tomorrow we're going to see a little bit more about how these laws are applicable and what it looks like in action. So I'm excited. That was cool, because he mentioned several things about our specific kids, and we sent him all those videos and things that he could watch to get an idea of where they are developmentally. And they were good videos, and he learned a lot from them and was able to share a little bit more about where our kids are developmentally. And that's like relieving in a way. I didn't realize that it would be, but it feels relieving to just talk to somebody that is confident that they know that they can help my kids, when a lot of therapists and a lot of doctors just don't know and won't commit, or just say they'll always be like this. I'm excited for it. I'm nervous for it. And here we go.